Hey guys, what's up? It's Joe, your buddy online. Virtual buddy, whatever you fucking call me, I don't know. A lot of you guys have been like chatting with me a lot, through Discord, through the comment section and stuff like that. And like, I do appreciate it. I don't know if there'll be the chance where I ever meet you guys in person, but at the moment, I'm super happy to be able to communicate with you guys. It's been fun. This shit's fun. I'm gonna go more into detail about like a museum I went to when I was in Vegas, back in January. Now, when I came back from Vegas, I was pretty sick, and I made like a animated video, talking about my trip in Vegas after CES, right? I went back with my friends and my girlfriend, and we, hanged out and stuff like that. But honestly, I was mentally drained after after CES, and I just really wasn't in the mood to fucking like make more videos. So I just like randomly filmed and stuff like that. But I guess like the part that most people commented on the most was the section where I was walking through the punk rock museum, right? And I want to talk more about that. Probably out of all the stuff I did in Vegas, that one kind of like stood out the most, right? Mainly because it got like I did get like a reaction out of me, right? I'll admit. To begin with, I'm 40 years old, or actually, 42 actually. Yeah. I turned 42 in January. Part of the reason why I stayed in Vegas it's a birthday thing for me. And one of the things I wanted to do was go to like the punk rock museum. Yeah, I'm in my late teens, 16, 17, up to like my early 20s. I was really into like the whole punk rock environment, right? Now the thing is that I wasn't really into punk rock music. I was more into the environment of the music, if that makes sense, right? For the most part, I was more into metal and like heavy metal kind of shit, right? But at the time, like I had a lot of fun hanging out with the punkers, being in that environment. I did go to a lot of punk shows and stuff like that. And part of the reason why I was really into the whole punk rock environment was, well, to be honest, I was a fucking drunk. I was really bad into alcohol at the time. Now, I don't have videos or images, pictures of me during that time. Because around that time I didn't carry a cell phone. It wasn't smartphones were really a thing. To be honest, I'm super happy because goddamn it, I would have like had a lot of pictures of me doing dumb shit. Well, fuck with that. I will do some digging. There are a few pictures of me when I was young and had dreads. I try to share them here, but unfortunately I don't have a lot of pictures. And the ones I did have, I lost them. Yeah, that's just how it is. Oh well. But the thing I guess I wanted to talk about is like the overall museum itself. Now, first of all, when I wanted to check out this museum, I was like, all right, cool, a punk rock museum. Obviously, there was like that nostalgia feeling that I wanted to go check out because, I'm familiar with it, right? But the first thing that kind of like got to me literally right off the bat was, the tickets were about $40. And then once I entered, they wanted me to check in my bag. So that was an additional $10. And I was like, I don't know, like just right off the bat, I was like, shit. This became a total business, and it was like kind of like not necessarily at least growing up as a kid, what punk rock was all about. It was kind of like more anti-capital, right? Like the environment that I was in. Now, don't get me wrong. I know it's a museum, it's a business, they got paid lights, this and that. I totally understand that. Do not misunderstand me. I'm just conflicting with like a more overall train of thought when I was a kid, and then like entering to adulthood. And it was like, that's the thing that kind of like fucked with me the most about this environment, is that my teenage years became monetized. Ah, shit. Something just hit me as I'm talking about this. Pantera is one of my bands that I grew up listening to a lot. I think I can say Pantera is definitely one of my top favorite bands. One of their songs from like the Great Southern Trendkill, Sandblasted Skin. The overall lyrics of that song is basically talking about how, people get into like a certain like lifestyle, then as they get older they quit, right? So they weren't real. Which is kind of funny like to think about, right? You're not real unless you continue this lifestyle of the punk rock code, the rocker, whatever, right? As a 40-year-old guy, and if you follow certain musicians, from like their early teens, 20s, up to like the older they are now, currently, some of these musicians are maybe in their 50s or whatever. Unfortunately, a lot of them didn't make it at that age, right? Because, they continued that life, the consuming of drugs, the partying or whatever, and then like the health issues that they developed from like their lifestyle. So yes, for self-care reasons, you kind of have to fucking stop that lifestyle, which is kind of funny to think about. Yeah, it's part of the reason why I got out of it myself. Mainly, one, the environment it is toxic to an extent, right? Part of the reason, like I said, I was like involved into that punk rock lifestyle was because, you know, the drinking and the partying. I was having a blast, but it got to a point where it's like, dude, I was like too hooked on it. I had to stop, and simply I had to get away from all that. You know, I cut my hair. I even like started to dress differently, and it is a weird feeling to do that because you associated yourself so much to a lifestyle or a certain look that like taking all that off was almost like, then who are you? You know, and then like I started doing more of my own thing, but like I still carried a lot of like the experiences that I developed. Well, and that was that in lifestyle. Now, at the time, you know, coming from like a conservative Catholic background, entering that environment was actually a good thing for me, right? Because I was starting to question a lot of like societal, community, religious standards that I was raised with, you know, the shit that the church was teaching me, the shit that maybe the you know, religion itself was teaching me, well, my parents thought, that their train of thought, how they were raised and this and that. Myself as an individual in America, you know, dealing with the whole racial bullshit, you know, being blamed for like the loss of jobs. Here we are fucking 42 years later from, you know, me growing up in America, then still, they never seem to find a solution to it because they don't want to, but that's another tangent. But so yeah, that experience is part of the reason I guess why that time for me was important is because it was like a massive mental shift for me. When I went to this museum, I got flooded with a lot of that memories and feelings and experiences all coming together, and I was like, I don't know, it is kind of weird seeing all that shit behind a glass case on display for people that may not know about it or haven't experienced it, or for someone like me to go back there and be like, oh yeah, I remember this, I remember that. I went with my girlfriend and my friends, and like, you know, they have fun, you know, it was interesting for them. They weren't really into that music, so for them it was just interesting to see something different, but for me it was like, shit, I don't know, it kind of kicked me in the balls a bit. I'm not gonna lie. Obviously there's a large amount of like punk bands out there that have made an impact, or have been, or there was like a certain like scene that did exist for a while. I guess it just focused more on like the more familiar bands that you can think of. Like say like the Sex Pistols, Black Flag, and there's Crass, obviously Misfits, you know, a bunch of other, you know, bands that you can think of. But I guess like one thing I was kind of surprised about is like I didn't see too much of say the crust punk thing. Now they did have like a display, we'll say like Nausea, but I'm talking about like other bands like Phobia, Dystopia, you know, those kinds of bands. His Hair Is Gone, you know, those kinds of bands that are like more aggressive. I don't know, I didn't see too much of that. The museum was very general, and also, you know, they can only put whatever they can in that environment. It's pretty small, right? That's actually a good size. There's 2 floors. There was a lot of cool shit going on to check out. So obviously to put out the whole fucking history in one building is impossible, right? But, you know, certain things, I guess, for me at the time, I mean, it's probably not that big of a deal now, I'm very sure, but at the time for me in the 90s, late 90s, you know, late 90s, early 2000s, being Hispanic in the punk scene actually was kind of a big deal. There was like, at the time, there was a lot of weird division between like, oh, the hip hop guys and metal. Now they're pretty meshed together. There's a lot of bands that they fuse the whole things together, right? But at the time, like, it was like weird. Like, people were more isolated, segregated, right? You got the Hispanics here and the white people here and the black people here. I was like, at the time I was hanging out more with the white crowd, and they were all punkers, and I got a lot of flack for that, I'll admit, you know? Especially from the Hispanics. You're like, you know, why are you hanging out with them kind of shit? You know, it was weird, right? So when I went to these punk shows, for the most part, I was like the only Hispanic there, and that got brought up a lot. Now, like I said, the environment was cool. That was part of like the whole experience of being in the punk rock. They were more accepting of me and stuff like that. And then like there was a lot of like Hispanic bands that made like a big difference, like Los Crudos. That was one of them. Maybe I missed it, but I didn't see anything like about that band. And like I said, like say that band for the time, I was very different because, you know, even though they were a band based in Chicago, they'll sing all their songs in Spanish as a way to go against the grain of speaking English. Back in the day, say like schools or churches, you know, if you spoke Spanish, you'll get punished. So they'll sing their music in Spanish to go against that, right? And they also like they'll call out like the whole punk scene that they were basically closet racist and shit like that.
Why we wrote this song, that's right, motherfuckers, we are that spit band, is because there were people who involved in this music scene or whatever referred to Los Crudos as a spit band. Oh yeah, a spit band. Oh yeah, but Martin's cool. No, that's what was said. Oh yeah, that's spit band, but Martin's a cool guy. No, fuck you, I'm not a cool guy. You refer to me as a spit, and you're the type of person that tells those type of jokes. You are a fucking part of the problem.
So yeah, that band did, was a kind of a major influence for me at the time, and I didn't really see too much of that at the time when I was in the museum. But I mean, like I said, I'm not dissing the museum overall. I like what they did. It's fun, it's cool, but I just like the whole marketing of the punk rock history or lifestyle. I thought was kind of odd, honestly. I guess like the best way I could describe it is like, see somebody wants to be gangsta and they just buy some clothes and act that way, or they have like the cholo nights, they dress a certain way to act gangster for the night. It's just stupid, right? Obviously for a person to go through that lifestyle, in a way it's just a way of survival because of the environment you grew up with, right? You're not really a gangster just to be cool. You're a gangster mainly to like survive your neighborhood because it's not great. Shit. For me, I guess that's I guess I end the video with that. Me getting into like the whole punk rock scene, it was more of a mental survival thing because I was in a bad space, so being in that environment was helpful for me at the time. I found a place where I felt comfortable exploring new trains of thoughts. Yeah, because I wasn't happy in my environment growing up, I'll admit. I think that's why like the whole punk thing was a major influence in my life and pretty important. Because yeah, it was definitely something that like helped me get by some bad times in my life. But anyways, I don't want to get too into that. No downers here. The Punk Rock Museum. If you're in Vegas and you want to check it out, I think it's worth it. I think because it's new and people are talking about it. And, maybe the prices could be maybe a little less. I feel the ticket prices were $40. If you take a backpack, they're gonna ask you to check it in. Whatever. I feel it's more of a $30 ticket, to be honest, in my opinion. That's just me. But the things I did like about the museum was, it did have that nostalgia feel. They did that very well. And I did love the fact that they have a jam room. They had a collection of like guitars actually owned from like bands. I took a picture with like the guitar that Pat Smear had when he was touring with Nirvana. I thought that was kind of cool. So you can actually connect them to like amps. You can jam with them to get a feel for it. That's kind of cool. They did have a area where you can get flash tattoos if you want. That was kind of cool. And also they had an environment where like had like this like punk rock feel of like the a bar. All the stickers and shit like that. Oh, and I guess that's the other thing that I thought was kind of cool. They do encourage you to graffiti the bathrooms, right? So, if you go to these like punk rock events, fucking those areas are graffitied and stickered up like a motherfucker. So they do encourage you to do that, which I think was kind of cool of what they did. Because it does give you that feel, right? So that's one thing I did like about the museum a lot is like it did give you that feel of being in that environment when you were young. But yeah, that feel, to get that feeling, it costs you $40 to get it back for a few hours. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, that's kind of weird. Like getting like memories and emotions marketed. I don't know. Like I said, it was weird. At least for me, for that, I probably should have done it in Vegas. That one kind of like tapped into a core part of me. And like, yeah, I don't know. This video is going on long enough. I don't know what else to say. All right, that's all I got to say. I want to end the video here. All right, guys. Punk Rock Museum. I liked it. Go check it out if you are curious about it up in Vegas. Talk to you later. Peace.